Well, hey there, everybody. It's Chris from the Rate the Record podcast, as it says on my shirt right there. My long sleeve, very comfortable shirt. But anyways, that's not what I'm here to do. I'm here to talk to you about new music. It's time for the NMR New Music Review. I've done 4 tracks, and by done, I mean listen to them. That's what I've done. I've listened to them, I have opinions on them, I want to hear yours, so let's get into discussing that. By the way, a lot of technical issues on my end lately, so if suddenly the screen goes green while I'm trying to talk, I apologize because I don't know what's going on and I'm still looking into solutions. It happens in the video editor, so any tech geeks out there, please let me know what's up. So first up on the list this week, we have KMFDM, and they're an electro-industrial band out of Hamburg, Germany, and they've grown quite a following since they debuted back in 1984, so they've been around for quite a long time, and they're about to release their 22nd studio album for their 40th anniversary. Some really big numbers to run with there, and that album is due out in February, and the title is actually the track of today's song, which is called Let Go. So to be entirely honest, I think this one kind of surprised me a little bit, but to be fair, I'm not like intimately familiar with KMFDM's catalog. I have heard of a selection of songs in the past, but this one just seemed to venture like into a dark wave and kind of funky direction, so I don't think I was anticipating that. But then again, if you know more about KMFDM and what I'm missing out on, then you can obviously let me know, because I'm relatively new to it, I guess. I mean, for the most part, you have this like high energy, high pace industrial dance beat, but it's not as dark as I would have been anticipating. But again, I might be kind of speaking ignorantly on this, but from what I've heard from them in the past, like this just seems something completely different at this point. The guitar riffs in the chorus, and especially towards the end of the track too, have this like fast-paced groove to them, and toward the end too, it almost starts feeling like funky, almost kind of poppy too, like that style of dance music. So again, that's why I felt a little thrown off by it. So again, maybe it's because I'm a little more familiar with a selection of older tracks, but the upbeat, almost realistically like positive atmosphere of this track, it was at least catchy, it was a little fun, but it was also kind of a little tacky as well. So overall, it's not necessarily a bad track per se. I don't see myself coming back to this one specifically, but that does not put the new album off of the table. I'd be glad to check it out. I should probably dig back into KMFDM's older discography too. I mean, it feels like one of those bands I should have caught up on a long time ago, so I think I'll do that. Can't wait for the new album. Hopefully it's better than this particular track, but we'll see. So next up on the list we have Mother Mother, and they are a Canadian indie rock band from Quadra Island, British Columbia, and they are entering their 19th year, and they've grown quite a substantial following in the indie scene since then. Their 9th studio album, Grief Chapter, I can speak properly, it's set to drop in February, and the single I'm checking out today is called Nobody Escapes. Professionals do another take, so where does that leave me? I feel like the song ends up going in different directions, like a few different directions, one progressively more interesting than the other, and I think that definitely ends up saving it for me in the end. The first half of the track is this really fast-pounding indie pop rock piece of music. You have the basses and the guitars running at a very steady 8th note rhythm, with the vocals sounding really soft. Production-wise, not performance-wise. Performance is fine, but the production's just, there's something very soft feeling about the vocals. And then, of course, the harmonies that the group are known for doing in all of their past music, they're very much on display here. They're sprinkled all throughout the entire track, so it feels pretty run-of-the-mill, again, for that generally the first half of the track. So shortly after the halfway point, the pacing and sound changes fairly significantly into this slower but yet heavier piece with big choir type of vibe of vocals, the almost mechanical, overdriven bass guitar that actually sounds fantastic. I love that tone on that bass. And a simple but really kind of fun drum groove. This is where my interest really started to come back into this track. The last minute of this track too is this very drawn out, moody, kind of jazzy piece of the entire song. It's the shortest portion, and it's honestly kind of a shame that it is. The slow and shuffled rhythm of the drums is really good. The buttery, smooth, fretless bass sounds fantastic. The wailing saxophone and the really silky vocal passages that are kind of sprinkled in all throughout, like everything just is very hauntingly pretty in this song. And at this point, I was all in, but then again, it is the briefest part of the song, so I honestly felt kind of blue-balled by the time I got here. And with that overall, I will say that it's a little all over the place, but it does have a very beautiful ending as it progresses and progresses. I really like it. I might just let that first half start growing on me if it means I get that second half all over again. I liked that much about it, so it's a very divided opinion on the song at the time, but man, that second half really, really saved it. I like that part. Check it out, let me know what you think. Maybe you like one better than the other, maybe you like both, maybe you like none. I want to know. Next up on the list, we have the Jesus and Mary Chain, and they're all the way from East Kilbride, Scotland. That's a hell of a name. And they're a very influential alternative, shoegaze, post-punk style of group, and they've been active for the most part since 1983, and their 8th studio album called Glasgow Eyes is due out in March, and the second single that I'll be taking a look at today is Chemical Animal. This one is a very moody and atmospheric style of track, and as the styles I just mentioned a moment ago, this is a very good blend of that kind of alternative sound and shoegaze, although shoegaze is alternative, kind of redundant, but you know what I mean, especially coming out of the 80s. So the slower and almost airy instrumentals of this track just allow the song to drift a little bit. It almost feels kind of peaceful, but I don't want to use the word peaceful because if you hear what it sounds like, it's more melancholy, but I guess there's a kind of peace in that if you want to use quotations and everything like that. It feels like a rainy day, but I mean, it's something that has like kind of an alluring quality to it. So I don't know, it's still pretty attractive while sounding very sad. That's a very 80s goth thing to say. The vocals do feel a little restrained in this song, and that's not necessarily a bad thing either. And not that I would expect a huge vocal performance from a track like this or a band like this, to be completely honest, but it's just another layer into that like shoegazy, almost post-punky ambience of the song. From what it has in length, I think it lacks a little bit in substance, but that's not to say that there's nothing to enjoy about the song. I like these moodier types of tracks from like different bands in this type of style too. It's nice to actually listen to a couple times, and then it acts really well as background fodder while you're doing other things. So it's really hard for me to critique a song like this when I do really like listening to it, but I hate having to like do a review on it where I have to like break it down, because this isn't a song to be broken down. It's just something to be enjoyed as one like good cohesive piece. Overall, on that note, it's definitely not the most uplifting track, as I kind of already alluded to, but I will say that it's still a decent track, and I'm indeed going to recommend it. Again, I love this style of music. It hurts me to have to review it just because I want to listen to it and just sit back and enjoy what's going on, you know? So maybe you'll feel the same way about it, maybe you'll feel differently. That's where you need to let me know. And finally, on the list today, the 4th track for the NMR, it's Justice, and they're an electro house duo from Paris, France, and the act have been around for 21 years, but is only ready to drop their 4th full-length album this April called Hyperdrama. And very recently to me, at the very least, like at the point of recording this, January 24th is when I'm recording this, they just released a new single like this afternoon or this morning, something along the lines of that. So I was like, you know what? Cool, last second I'm gonna pick it up, I'm gonna listen to it, I'm gonna try it. And this song is called One Night All Night featuring Tame and Impala. The melding of dance styles in this song is what made it so neat to listen to. Not that they're the only band to do that kind of thing, but I don't know, I'm not used to reviewing this style of music, so it's cool for me to hear. With that electronic techno style of dance beat going on, and it then changes up to like this bit of a funky disco-esque breakdown in the middle, there's definitely some good vibes going all throughout this thing, and it kind of gives you different variations of those good vibes, so that's kind of cool, so it's not just like one flat track all throughout. I mentioned disco-esque a second ago, and I will say that those disco sections that are like in the middle of these songs, or if you want to count them as the bridges or choruses or whatever you want to call them, I really do like them. I think they're a wonderful touch. The super fun bass line that kind of runs all throughout it is super fantastic too. It really kind of amped up my energy for the song and my appreciation for it as well. And of course, we can't forget about Mr. Kevin Parker, aka Tame Impala. He has his voice spread all across this entire track, sprinkled in little bits. It's also very repetitive too. It sounds like he's singing maybe a few lines or something like that that just kind of gets pushed through. But then again, that's kind of like in the style of this music anyways, where the vocals aren't even the most important part. They're just kind of there to fill a void or a layer or anything like that. But regardless, it has this very kind of like well done falsetto that's not even all that piercing either, and it really helps paint the atmosphere of the whole track, so I appreciate things like that. Overall, I will say that this one was fun, and I mean, I don't get into this style of music too often, so if you couldn't tell, once again, I am very new to reviewing this kind of thing, I mean, this particular style, so bear with me if nothing I said makes sense or I wasn't saying enough or anything along the lines of that, but I will learn eventually, damn it. But yes, this one was fun. It was bouncy. It was very much enjoyable. You can definitely get a good feel for the beat, the mood, and the sweat. Did anyone get that reference? It's a good thing I put the album on screen when I said that. Bad jokes aside, that is the end of the NMR for the week, so thank you very much for tuning in and checking it out and listening to these songs. And if you indeed did listen to these songs, you gotta let me know down in the comments below what you thought about them. I told you my opinions, I want to hear yours. It would be fantastic if we did that, carry on some sort of conversation. I like hearing these opinions, man. I mean, mine aren't the only ones that matter, yours does too, so let me know. And you could also let me know on our socials, which you can find over at ratetherecord.ca. Our home base website has all of our streaming links, social media links. It has the RTR Club, or just Ko-fi for now since the RTR Club is closed. Merchandise like this, and I also have the t-shirt that I always wear on the podcast as well. Look at that. We got Rate the Record merch. I'm not even doing this properly. There you go. And Savannah has a mug, but she's clearly not in this video. But regardless, there's merch that you can do and request albums for when the podcast comes back. We'll do an album that you want to hear. So once again, ratetherecord.ca for all that kind of stuff. That's fantastic. And as for content you can check out, well, I mean, nothing's really been happening so far. I've been releasing NMRs, ILTS a little while ago. There might be another one coming in a couple of weeks. I just released an announcement video, I think yesterday. Yeah, it must have been yesterday at the point in my head. I'm just trying to remember off the top of my head. Announcement video about just talking about the podcast hiatus, but what I plan on doing with this channel in the meantime, because it's not going to be a forever hiatus or anything like that. So I have plans, so if you want to hear about that, then go check out that video. And I also want to hear your feedback on some of my ideas, because you will play a big part in this, so please check that out and let me know, because I have a lot of fun things planned, and you're going to be a big part of it. So please check out that video. The card's already above my head, or it already has been at the very least, so yeah, please do that. And that's all I have. I'm going to stop rambling now. I'm just going to go ahead and get on out of here. So once again, thank you very much for hanging out, and until I see you next time, go listen to some awesome music, and be safe out there. Take care, friends.